Hi, I'm Christie from Prescription Tillage Technology. Today we're going to talk about the installation of the STP blade and the installation manual. Please heed all label notes and warning labels in the manual. The blades are sharp. Please use appropriate gloves so that we don't cut our fingers. We always position ourselves behind the planter with the planter facing forward, so the right is right and the left is left, as in the picture as indicated. And both blades should be spaced equally on the shank. It's important that we do the best job that we can. You can either do visual by looking down through the seed tube slot, or you can count shims that are equal as far as shim spacing. So we're going to go over the part number. The part number on your blade is stamped or etched in the blade. It will have STP, that stands for the tooth pattern on the blade, and then you will have a 1-1, and then you will have the size of the blade, which is 15.15. That is the actual diameter of the blade. At the end of the blade, you will have a letter. That letter states which side of the planter it should be on, or the row unit. This one has an R. It is a 15, so when we're running the STPs, we want the 15.15 to the outside of the right side rows of the planter. That's very important because we mate this 15 with a 14.75 on the inside, so that we can get our 11 tooth exchange per 100 linear feet. When these come, they will come on a rod that you will set behind the planter. They will be pre-mated, and so you just need to set the rod for each side of the planter that you're going to assemble the blades on. In 2021, they will come in boxes pre-mated. We've already installed the 15-inch .15 on the outside of the planter, or the right-hand side blade. We are now assembling the left-hand 14.75. We have measured our shim packs, and they are equal, so we can have equal spacing on the shank. This is a left-hand threaded bolt, which will go on the left-hand side of the unit. Once the bolt is threaded, we highly recommend wiggling or shaking the blade to help prevent shims from getting stuck in between the bolt threads. And then we need to torque it with an acceptable torque range. This does two things. One, it prevents the blade from loosening. It also prevents from pulling threads. The next thing we need to do, as in figure 1, we need to interlock the teeth at about the 430 on the right hand side, or the 730 as in figure 3 on the left hand side. And so we're going to do that. You can put your fingers in between the teeth and pretty much feel where those positions come together. The cast units are pretty well machined, so they're very, very accurate. The pressed units have a little variance, and that's why we have a little variance on setting our cards. So once we've mated the blade and we've interlocked the tooth, and we're going to put our cards in, we happen to be installing cards on the 14 3/4 left side. And we take our tape measure, and right now we're at about 2 1/4, so we're a little thick. So we're going to remove the blade and put in one more washer. The other thing we want to note is when these blades are set as to spec, and this is very important, you should be able to take your heavy-duty gloves and put your thumb on one blade and your finger on the other blade, and you should be able to turn it in opposing directions. So we're going to reshim this, and we'll be right back. So we have reshimmed both blades so that they are equal on the shank, and we've put in our cards as we've interlocked our teeth. And we're about 3/4 of an inch, which is pretty close to where we want to be. The cards are just a simple indicator. Our blades typically are within 25 thousandths of out-of-round specs. That's one of the best in the industry. The powder coat, during the powder coating process, the powder coat can be thicker or thinner on the teeth depending on how it went through the powder coat system. The main concern is our blades are the opposite of other blades. We've had some premature wear caused by over tightening or too much preload on the blade. So on our blade, what we want to do is we want to be able to take our thumb with some heavy-duty leather gloves, and we want to be able to turn the blades in an opposing direction with our fingers. As long as we can do so, and you still have blade clicking or tooth friction in the front, we're really close. The blades are designed with an inside counter bevel. That's kind of an insurance policy for being out around, and soil loads, higher CEC soils, create more crush than lower CEC soils. Our blade in 100 linear feet of travel has 11 tooth exchanges or scissor actions. This is one of the reasons we do not want these over tightened. So this is the basic test. Is a rotation test is more important than the card test. The card test is just a beginning test. For example, you could put the card test in and it may be 3/4 here. You turn the blades and rotate them, it could be 2 inches. So the card test has variance. Our blades, as long as we have friction, we're in good shape. If you're running the Acroplant V-Shot, we would like for you to center the fillet, run the fillet to the bottom with a straight edge, and make sure the V-Shot is at least 1/4 inch, and we prefer 3/8 of an inch upward of the bottom of the fillet. The reason being, we do not want to cause furrow smearing or furrow compaction. We do not recommend the V-Shot, but if you do use the V-Shot, please make sure that it is above the inside of the fillet 1/4 inch to 3/8 of an inch. Now we're going to go on the other side of the planter and we're going to set the depth wheel. And setting the depth wheel is important to help prevent furrow sidewall lifting and row plugging. We're going to set the depth wheel. The reason the depth wheel again is important is we want to prevent stubble and soil from entering between the blade and the depth wheel. This helps prevent furrow sidewall lifting. It also prevents and helps prevent row plugging. So what we do is we put a pair of vice grips on the bolt and tighten them. And then we would like for you to lift your depth wheel at about simulated planting position. On the John Deere and the Kinseys, or the centered blades that have a depth wheel in a forward position, pull out or away from the blade. We want you to be able to turn the depth wheel, and if you slightly turn the blades or loosely turn the blades, this particular depth wheel is set just about perfect. This will also help save overloading the scraper. When a scraper is overloaded or stubble gets in between a scraper and a blade, it's like a braking effect, and it can slow the rotation of the blade. These blades typically will turn 92 to 95% of linear travel. We do not want any braking action with the scrapers. By setting your depth wheel, you gain multiple advantages as far as row plugging, furrow sidewall lifting, and maximizing rotation. Once you run your PTT blades for a while, the blade is actually 40 thousandths dull at the tip, and the fillet is 25 thousandths dull. We do that because we want to start the wear in the fillet first. We use the fillet as an insurance policy to cut. We want to allow these blades to start flowing the soil equally. The tip of the tooth will come off. The blades are overbuilt. These are 15.15. The other side is actually a 14.9. And so they are oversized anyway. The end of the tip will come off. If you will look at your instruction manual, you will see what that tip should look like. Eventually, we will be rounding the tips. Right now, we do not have that capability. But in 2021 production, these tips will automatically be rounded. If you lose the sharpness on the tip, the blade is not shot. The main thing we're concerned about is the bevel length. We're the only blade on the market that can maintain a bevel, and we're the only blade on the market that can maintain a fillet. As long as you have a bevel and a fillet, you're in good shape. We cleared these blades for the John Deere Kinsey or centered planter applications for 14.25 OD inches. When you want to determine if you need to replace your blades or not, take off the blade, run your tape measure on the back side of the blade, and as long as they're above 14¼ inches, you're good to go. We thank you for your time and hope you have a lot of success running our PTT STP blades.